the labels and look at the facts that comprise this label. So what is the pants? It's the garment that you wear below your belly button, or at the level of your hips, right? On or about. Yes, that's a common denominator. Well, some people don't disagree, because I know some people. I think hip hop culture people, they wear it a little lower, but that's the point. The point is at or below, right? What's the common denominator for computer and automated data processing machine? They use digital signals, zeros and ones, to process whatever information you ask them to do. Okay, those are the elements. ADP, automated data processing machine, or the computer, they're just labels. Move away from thinking about labels. What's the label here? Label, this is a label. Okay? This is the element which applies. Extract of coffee. And it is this is how it's made. And this is what it does not have. That's the key, not this. Move away from this is a label, coffee oil. I can call it, can I call it a coffee extract? Why not? If you to enjoy to get appreciation for labels, you just go out there and look at all those various trademarks. And we already come across those trademarks in some of the questions which we discussed in customs broker responsibilities, where we had a company labeled as Customs Brokers Inc. Or Brokers Inc. Was the wrong answer. Many people, some students picked it as the right answer because they thought, oh, Brokers Inc. It must be licensed customs broker. Customs examiners did not say that. I can call my company Brokers Inc. and start a real estate business. It's without information, I'm not to make assumptions. So it's very important to distinguish yourself. What is label and what are the facts, and focus on the facts, because those are the most important piece of information which will be relevant further down. So with this background, I think we can dive in and notice we talked about the GRI, General Rule of Interpretation, number 1. Okay, this is the theory, right, which we applied. Even though we talked about heading, chapter notes, and heading notes, we didn't talk about other general rules which are applicable. And I think I think it's a good time to talk about it after the 10-minute break, right? So I'll see you all in 10 minutes, and we shall start our deliberation about that. Oh, okay, welcome. Yeah. Sign in, okay. Here. Okay, gracias. I'll give me about a week, okay?
Want you to take this out?
Oh, yeah, take it out. So you can use it. Okay. All right. Yeah. Uh-oh, we have a sign and stamp it. Stamp it. How can you classify stamp it?
Oh, stamp it?
Yeah. You can, because it's a verb. Classification is for nouns, right? All right, folks, let's do it. So, I'm gonna go briefly over chapter 42. I highly recommend you to read it through because it has a lot of concepts. I'm gonna stop on those important ones, and I'm gonna skip over those that I think are less important. And I'm gonna try to do that relatively quickly, so we have time. We're not running out of time. All right. History. 1988, 1989, prior to that, United States had tariff HTSUS, Tariff Schedule United States, which was different from the harmonized tariff. Then around 1988, 1989, countries came together. They said, let's harmonize our classification system so we can trade. We can facilitate trade, and it's better for me and for you. Customs United States came in and said, okay, no problem, sounds like a good idea, let's do it. So they signed this treaty called Harmonized Tariff Schedule Convention, HS Convention, and then they agreed to the following. We, countries that are signatories to the treaty, going to classify everything up to first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember how many digits in generally speaking in a statistical reporting number? 10, right? Heading 4, subheading 4, statistical suffix 2, right? Well, up to first 6 is international, right? So all the countries agreed to the text itself, the text of the harmonized tariff schedule. If up to the 6 digits will be same in the United States, as in Canada, as in Great Britain, as in France, as in Russia, as in Tanzania. All right. But the idea is that every country reserves its the statistical suffix. So the last 10, 9 and 10, the ones that we were engaged in at the last point, remember, in the last question, there was statistical suffix. So that's up to each country to adopt. So not only that, each country has its own right to interpret provisions. So we saw how oils can be interpreted in one way or another, depending on the facts given. Oil was just a label, right? It was an extract, which was important. So in this country, US government reserves the right to interpret harmonized tariff schedule as it sees fit. So who in the United States government has the right to do that? One agency that you are very familiar with by now is no. No. Customs. Customs is the one. They just ITC just keeps the books, right? They make the books available, right? They are like the data keepers, right? But customs has the ultimate authority to interpret how they are applied, because they have the ultimate authority to collect. They're responsible for collection of duties, and because harmonized tariff is so much intertwined with duties, without knowing harmonized tariff schedule, you don't know the duty. It's the job of customs. It's a shared responsibility because we live in a system of checks and balances. So judges can say, customs, you're wrong. They can disagree, and then customs has to agree with judges. And those are the trade judges, and they are administered by exclusive court. There is a special court in the United States that only does classification or only does country of origin. And that's called Court of International Trade. It's a federal court specially made for that purpose. Before 1982 or 1981, it was even called Customs Court. Then it was changed to Court of International Trade. So, and judges who sit there, they can say, no, customs, you're wrong. And it's an independent way to check on customs to make sure that they're not being arbitrary and capricious, if you will, or too prejudicial. So that's as much as I say about the democracy. Now let's talk about other stuff. Cross the system of administrative rulings. After you finish and get your license, most of the time you'll still be uncertain of how to classify one thing or another. You won't have those 5 answer choices. So many times what you do is you look at the precedent, at what types of decisions have other people faced with, and how it was resolved. And there is a database, almost like Google, but specially made for customs. The link is here, rulings.cbp.gov. You put in the search engine olive oil, or you put in the search engine whatever you feel like you need to, and it spits out the various interpretations that customs applied to the to the members of importing community. Cross.
Right?
Just put cross customs in Google, you'll get it. Right. Customs ruling online search system. Cross. Next, you have courts. Courts publish opinions where they say what are the reasons. The reasoning in court opinions is way better than in customs, because oftentimes it's the methodology that's important, not the principles, not the actual facts. So court opinions, they also published. This is official Court of International Trade website. You go in there, put on an opinion, and you have various opinions addressing various issues too. So that's where you get your kind of experience and you get your glimpse of how people think, how people interact, and many of the materials that come here before you, or that I bring to the lectures, they also come from those sources. Further, remember I mentioned that Harmonized Tariff Schedule, this big thick book, it is an attempt to classify every possible commodity. Well, almost every possible commodity, because not all commodities are classified. Some commodities are not subject to Harmonized Tariff Schedule at all. You just don't file an entry for them. What types of these commodities that are not within Harmonized Tariff Schedule? And here's a list. Pay attention, it's being asked on the exam. Corpses. It's a society we thought it's not morally good to assign number to the corpse, okay, or to assess any type of duty on a corpse. It's just not right. So corpses are not classified. You will not find a provision for corpses. Accompanying flowers as well. Stuff from space are also within a category. Some articles which have been exported from the United States to other countries but were found undeliverable, they are also within that category. So you export something from the United States, the postman in China knocks on the door, no one opens, the postman takes it out and ships it back to the United States. It's not subject to classification. Aircraft equipment. There have to be an emergency for that. But if there was an emergency and other provisions are met, such as 45 days custody and use abroad, and the aircraft is within the United States, aircraft parts and equipment are not subject to Harmonized Tariff Schedule. And it's a common practice because aircraft parts, the spares are needed all the time, and because of the nature of the aviation industry, it's global, and it's just not practicable to use it. And usually the reason you need the spare part is because something has broken down. It doesn't have to be the emergency. It's just some malfunction or repair. Telecommunication transmissions, right? So let's say I transmit this class recording to someone in China. Let's say someone went to China and I transmit, right? And then or else You could leave it on. That was a cool song. Or else imagine that I put this class recording on a Chinese server, and for you guys to watch this online, you have to actually get to that server, click play, so it streams into the United States. Is there a classification for that? No, there isn't, because it's a data transmission. So what else is telecommunication? Radio waves, internet, satellite. Those are the telecommunications. Anything that you can see or hear. Business data, records and diagrams. As themselves, they are not classifiable. So we saw, as we were doing the zippers, right? What was the name for the zippers? Slide fasteners, right? If you're doing slide fastener sketches, right? Let's say you are doing a sketch for the complex. I just found out that the zipper is one of the coolest gadgets ever invented, according to National Geographic. Why? Because when the United States sent its astronauts to outer space, they used suits, right? The space suits. And those space suits, they use zippers, and those zippers were sealable zippers, right? They were airtight, if you will, right? So zipper is a huge progress. So, and also it can be very simple or very complex. So you use, let's say, diagrams or sketches of this new invention, and you are bringing it in. The diagrams and the intellectual input is not itself classifiable, subject to Harmonized Tariff Schedule. Having said that, the paper on which you bring it on is. Okay? Telecommunication transmission. If it's telecommunication transmission alone, let's say a radio station across the Canada, right, to the United States, right, Toronto, Buffalo, right, there is no HTS. But if I record this transmission on a CD or DVD and then bring it to the United States, then you have to declare a DVD. Not the transmission itself, but the medium on which it comes. Everyone sees the point? So while the transmission and the data are not themselves classifiable, if they come on a tangible medium, tangible meaning something you can touch or feel, then that medium is classifiable. Okay, now a good question of how we classify stuff. What are the essential elements of classification? We saw that it's kind of chaotic maybe sometimes, right? Because you have this chapter 15 for oils, right? As we saw in chapter 15, you could classify virgin oil. But in chapter 21, if it's coffee oil, and then it goes to the chapter 21, right? So how do you put this under one umbrella? How can you make sense to the scale so at least it's manageable? And the way you do it is, again, there is no single right answer, but what you do is you put in now a list of factors, and you keep them you keep them just as what they are. They're just the factors, and you keep them in mind as you're doing your process, as you engage in a process of elimination. So first one is materials used in production. So it's important if it's an oil extract, it's important if the material used is coffee or is olive, right? It's important because otherwise one would be in chapter 15. If it's other material, it would be in chapter 21. Second, the processing stage. Why is the processing stage important? Well, I just talked about it in the first part of class. Because processing stage determines your starting point of inquiry. You start, if the processing stage is somewhere in the middle,